Okay. Okay. So we will just get started. We're talking about chapters 6 and 7 today. Chapters 6 is on goals, creating goals, and chapter 7 is on being. These are two amazing chapters, and I know for me, coming from my corporate background, the first time that I read this book and I read this chapter on goals, it was awesome. It was a completely different way of thinking about goals, because I was always familiar with the corporate definition of goals as being the SMART goals, right? Being time specific, measurable, attainable, all those different things. So exploring goals in this way of not putting a time on them and really being in the I am state of them was really, really powerful. Really powerful for me. Did anyone else have that experience? Or have any thoughts they'd like to share on that? No? Okay. I'm going to try to monitor having the hands up too. So, but yeah, so I thought that was just really amazing. And I've seen how powerful this practice is in our lives. For me personally, it was very easy to work into this method of setting goals because I've always been a journaler. Like writing and journaling is just something that I love to do. So going and stating our goals in the I am presence way and just being really specific and having, creating as many goals as possible. I love how he says you want to create enough goals to fill up 3 years. I heard another teacher of mine that I really respect. She says, you want to create as many goals that can and that's very, very powerful because when you think about the fact that there really is no time in that, and in truth, we are eternal beings, that's a very powerful concept to think about, all of these things that can manifest at different times. And I can for sure say that things that I have put in my journal as a goal, I have been completely delighted and amazed at the way that God has designed the universe to bring these things to pass. Actually, this book club is actually one of those things. In January of last year, of this year, actually, not last year, I just read this book and was so passionate about it, and I had an intention to just share and explore and dive deep into these principles with as many people as possible. And so it was honestly that was a goal and an intention of mine, and I just stayed in the presence of that and took action toward it whenever I could and however I saw the way to be able to do that. And then here comes Chris, saying, hey, we're going to mastermind this. Who would like to? So that's just one example. And speaking of Chris, his hand is up. Yay.
I am. Hey, good to see you, Kay. Good to see everybody.
Chris and everyone.
Yeah, talking about this, I was talking with Yukiko earlier, messaging her through Facebook, and we were discussing this about the goals and how it goes against the grain, at least what I have always been taught. And I'm going to just confess that goal setting has always been challenging for me, and that I don't do it. I haven't done it. I've struggled with that. It being something that's attainable, something it's just for. It's something that I have that I need to work on. That I'm committed. Here we go. That I'm committed to changing, and it was really a relief for me to read about this making the list. And one thing that happened to me this year is at the beginning of 2015, I was taking a course on organizing my life, and Susan Sly does it. She's an awesome leader in our company, and an awesome person. And it's a great course, and I highly recommend it. Not selling it, just throwing it out there if you're interested. But one of the things that she had us, it was either part of that group or one of the times that I was listening to her on a call, she said, write down a list of 100 things and just write them down. And just by writing it down, you will accomplish a certain number of them. Now, true to fashion, the way I used to be, because I've changed now, I wrote down 25. And out of those 25, I found it when I was decluttering, it was probably a month ago. Out of that 25, there were probably 10 or 12 that, and I have to find the list to look at, but I was so amazed that there were 10, let's call it 10, out of the 25 that actually I had accomplished that year. Just from, and her what she said was, you'll accomplish 10% of them just by writing them down and never looking at them again. And just by writing them down, I did much better than 10%. And so I was pleasantly surprised. I know that it works, and I'm committed to changing that goal setting block that I've had in the past going forward. So that's it from me.
Wow, Chris, that is awesome. That is amazing. I love that. And that's so powerful just by writing them down. I think that even understanding that even makes the process a lot easier for us, right? Because I know that for me, when I'm thinking about, okay, wait, it has to be a SMART goal. It has to fit within these confines. That kind of makes it more challenging. But when you just really stand back and you just say, what would I like? What things do I desire? And I can just jot those things down. That just makes it a lot easier because you're you're getting into your images in your mind, and then you're just putting those on paper, and letting God be the doer, letting the universe let it unfold perfectly. Thank you so much for sharing that, Chris. That is perfect. I'm sorry, Joy, did you have your hand up? I may have accidentally unraised your hand. If you did, please re-raise it. I see that Teresa, or is it Therese? Let's see, Therese has her hand up. Let's hear from her.
I'm not. Shoot.
Therese?
I think I'm not there.
We can hear you.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I don't see
good.
you, but I hear you.
Okay, I haven't done this. I haven't spoken on this yet, so I wasn't sure if it was working right. But yay, I'm glad you can hear me. So one thing that I was just thinking about is how great it is, the idea that you don't have to know how the goal will manifest specifically. I just love that because it sort of, takes a big pressure off of you of thinking that you have to force things to happen or just that you have to figure it out, I guess is what I'm thinking. And that you can just say, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to intend. And I trust that it's out there in the universal soup, that the universe knows more than I do about how to make it happen.
That is so powerful, Teresa, and you are so right. It makes it so much easier in so many ways because, like you said, when we realize that we are not the doer and we don't have to make it happen, it takes a huge onus off of us and it allows us to be rooted in possibility. Something right. I like to say is that we're not here to make it happen. We're here to make things welcome. We're here to create the condition where this beautiful desire can come into fruition. And we do that by being exactly as you're describing, being open to it, intending it, taking whatever action we feel inspired to take towards it, and feeling relaxed and joyful and celebrating it and knowing that, hey, it's already done.
Yeah. And that helps you to have that good feeling about the intention too, because it takes the stress out of the whole part, the picture. It just says, just enjoy the feeling of having this intention and how wonderful that makes you feel. And then just hold it. So.
And doesn't that make you feel even more inspired?
Yes, exactly. It gives you more ideas.
Yes. When we realize that we're not limited by what we can see is being attainable with our own ability,
Yeah, exactly.
That for me was a whole opening to dreaming much, much bigger. So you are so right about that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Let's see. It looks like Mary has a share.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Mary.
Hi. Well, I haven't ever shared either, but it was what Chris was talking about. I just wanted to share that I had the same problem with setting goals. I would get things in my mind that I needed to do or wanted to achieve, but I had so many things going on that I would forget them. I'd put them on the side, and I'd never get them finished. And what I found helpful is when I was making my goals, I would even put the very smallest of things down, like planting bulbs for the fall. I mean, it didn't have to be a life-changing goal, but in order to come up with as many goals as I was trying to get on the list, I was putting very minute things on there. And then what I found to be so helpful is that my favorite color is blue. So as I was achieving my goals, I would use a blue highlighter and I would mark through them. And then when I would go back to review my goals, I would see all these blue lines, and it gave me, I guess, just whatever I needed to keep going forward and keep making even bigger and better goals, because I could see, what I had been accomplishing. So I just wanted to share that.
Wow, that is so powerful. That's so powerful, Mary. Thank you so much. Mary and Therese, thank you so much for sharing. That is awesome. And you know what, Mary, that is so right. Like you said, when you go and you look at the lines and the things you've been able to cross off, it makes you feel that much more powerful. And it's like, hey, I'm doing this. I really am living a life that's by design. So many times I think in life we are so, there's just this thing within us that just always wants to be more. And sometimes that can make us focus on what it is that is not happening or what we feel like we need to do better all of the time. But I think that is such a key point, Mary, is that it's also so important to look at what it is that we're doing right and what's happening right for us.
And it reminds you to take action.
Oh, Mary, you just said a mouthful right there. Taking action. That is so important. Sometimes some of my friends who totally embrace this way of living, I think that it's so easy to forget about that one key component. It's like, oh, let me just think and visualize, and then everything is going to magically appear. Well, to be honest, there are times that things happen just like that. There are absolutely some things that I've seen happen that I'm like, wow, this just came to me, and it's just the greatness and goodness of how God has designed the universe to be for us, right? But oh my goodness, I firmly believe, and I teach this all the time, that whatever we believe about, think about, speak about, and act about, we bring about. So yes, that taking action. And I think that when we see that our actions, that with our actions and everything else that we're doing, we are creating this space that is making these things welcome. It helps us to feel powerful as well, and to really see the part that we're playing in the entire process. Thank you so much for that, Mary. Cindy has a share for us. I love this. You guys are so awesome. Cindy?
Hey, I love that, Mary, what you just shared. And it kind of leads into like what I was thinking, because when I read the part about the boat, and like if you want a boat, then wait, hold on. Another thing you should understand about goals and thoughts is this: your goals are caused by you and everyone else, and vice versa. In other words, when you intend to have a boat, it causes an inspiration in a person suited to build boats to get into the boat business. And so I think that what that did for me, like I read that paragraph and it went on, and I sat back and I thought about it. And when you think about the connectedness of that and how we're just all just so connected. So like, I even took it to the place like, what if there was this guy out there that just, or girl, that just had such pleasure from building boats, but nobody wanted a boat. You know, I mean, think about that.
Terrible.
And so I know, right? He didn't have an opportunity to build a boat, because why would he build boats if there was no desire for that? So I was listening to an inspirational call before this, and someone said in the inspirational call, she was telling of her experience, and she said, you know, when someone asked me what I truly wanted, I felt selfish even thinking of that. I thought, you know, oh, I'm grateful for everything I had. How can I even ask for more? But when you think about it this way, like, how can you not? Because it creates that connectedness that we all have with each other. And my desires, everybody wins. Like he says, everybody wins, because my desires are going to build upon someone else's desires, which are going to build upon someone else's desires. And when I sat back and thought about that in a bigger picture kind of thing, and not just based on me, it's so beautiful. I mean, it truly is just magnificent. It's a magnificent connection of source, God, the universe, everything, and how it just all comes into play when we do things with intention and really focus on it. And I don't know, I just learn more and more every time I read this book, and I don't know, it's awesome. That was my share.
Oh my God, Cindy. Said so beautifully. You are so right. The connectedness and understanding what it really means, what it really means to be one with all that is. That it's such a powerful revelation. And, you know, it's something on a larger scheme. It is, honestly, I can say that it's something I'm so passionate about, because like you just described, it's like when we begin to understand that those desires that we have within us, it's not just that, oh, it's because we just want to do this. Yes, it feels super pleasurable to us to see and feel and imagine those things, but even on a larger scale, that actually is the contribution we're here to make.
Right.
Like, we're here to share that with the planet. You know, like the earth is an ecosystem, and it's so important for us to share our gifts in order to create the world that works for everyone. And I actually want to break it down to an even further micro level, Cindy, because I love how you pointed that out. Something else that I think is really important to understand is that sometimes in our businesses, especially for entrepreneurs, we can create these stories, you know, that say, oh, well, people don't want to buy from me, or they don't want to, people love to buy. People love to buy. And especially in the age that we live in, the digital age that we live in, people love to buy, and they can buy just by clicking buttons. Oh my God. People love to buy, and they love to buy from you, because there are people who are absolutely meant to come and do business with you because of the contribution that you're going to make in their lives. Yeah, so that's why it's so important for us to get over our own crap that, you know, says what we can't do, and really just get out there and do the damn thing.
Change our story. Change the story that we're saying to ourselves over and over. That's been such a huge process for me in the last 2 years, is changing my story and not agreeing to other people that knew my story before. Yeah. That's huge. Just not, you know, and I do with Tiffany, who's on this, we actually do, we're studying another book, Working with the Law together. And we were talking about how easy it is to go back to that just place of agreement with that old story. And we might not be speaking it, but we're going, yeah. And I mean, you know, it's so important to be aware of that, and to tell ourselves good stories.
Yes.
Tell ourselves good stories, like the story we want, or the story we desire. And it changes everything. It changes everything.
I love that. You are so right. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love something else that you just said about how, you said how easy it is to start beginning and telling that new story from that expanded place and then going back, and getting in alignment with that old story. It's so funny. I was just telling one of my clients just yesterday, I said, you know what? Average people, they will step out of their comfort zone. But then when it starts getting a little difficult, they step back to where they were before. But the great ones, they step out of their comfort zone. They step out so far that they can't go back. You have no choice but to align with that new, larger story. Thank you so much, Cindy. That is awesome. Whitson. That makes me feel British. Whitson. I just want to say it that way.
Hi. Can you guys hear me? I'm not sure.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, great. Thanks for having this thing tonight, Kay. What I really feel like I got out of, I think, chapter 6 was the do not worry aspect. I think so many of us really do worry. And even when you try to tell yourself not to worry, you just kind of, you can say it and say it and say it, but then it's like, is it really getting into my subconscious not to worry? I'm not sure. But one of my other mentors that I work with is Eric Lofholm. He's a big sales guy, and I actually have this paper. And it's something that he posted online, which is just kind of like scripture from the Bible, but it's the big part that he highlights is don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God your needs, and don't forget to thank Him for His answers. If you do this, you will experience God's peace, which is far more wonderful than the human mind can understand. His peace will keep your thoughts and your heart quiet and at rest as you trust in Jesus Christ. So with that, it just kind of correlates with everything about the source. And, I think if we can really take that into our hearts and our souls and put it into the subconscious, not just the conscious mind, I think that is like so critical in moving forward. So that's all.
Listen, so beautiful. Such beautiful words. I love that. It makes me think of something that I say that I learned from my pastor, Reverend Michael Beckwith. It says that, you can pray yourself to life or you can worry yourself to death, but you can't do both. So I
love that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's so true. And I think that like you said, it really can. It's like when you're just the mind is so powerful. And the true work really is winning that battle of those thoughts that do not serve our highest intentions. And it's not that, it's not like we want to be in a state of worry and anxiety, but really it's winning the battle over those thoughts that are of the old paradigm. And that's, I think, like that also plays back into what Cindy was saying. And like she had mentioned that she and Tiffany had been working on, of telling the story differently. That's one of the most powerful things, is to be able to see the present circumstance and all of the aspects of it, even the parts that you want to change, and being able to tell an empowering story about that. Not necessarily like ignoring it or pretending that it is different than it is, but really being able to tell an empowering story about it and find ways to be able to feel good about that present circumstance. you know. So like if I was going to give an example of, you know, of course there are business owners who always want to grow their business more and earn more money and all those different things. And it can be difficult to feel motivated to move forward, to cross those goals off in the blue highlighter, like Mary said, when you are feeling like you're not reaching your goals. So one way that I would tell that story is to say, okay, you know what? I have not yet manifested the revenue that I'm looking to manifest in my business, but I'm so happy about all of the steps that I'm taking and all of the ways that I'm growing, and I see and feel myself growing in such a powerful way. And I already know these principles, and all of these other people who are around me, and even very successful people who are reaffirming to me that I'm doing the right thing, and so that this money is allowed to manifest in ways that I don't even know. As long as I continue to move forward, everything is happening perfectly. And I'm going to continue to stay determined to give my best value that I can to my potential customers. And the right people that are to do business with me are automatically going to be attracted to me. And so even though my bank account right now might not say what it is that I want it to say, I know that that will change at any minute, because I am wealthy. I am wealth. That's what I share every single day. Do you see how that you can feel that way even when the circumstance may not look that way? So that's what I mean. That's so powerful with you. Thank you so much. And to me also, that is true prayer. That's true prayer. Jesus said, pray believing that ye have in order that you may receive. So that's how you do it. And I love it. It goes right along with what you shared. Thank you so much for sharing that. Oh, Cindy has something to share.
Hey, just something that came to mind when you were just talking about that is value. And when I was at Bliss, they talked a lot, like we all talked so much about the value and the exchange, and it brought me back, like I love what you just shared, Kay, and it brought me back to this little paragraph that I have underlined and highlighted and all that stuff that says, do not separate your financial life and goals from the rest of your life. For the financial goals are only a means to an end, not an end in themselves. Remember, money is a shadow of value, a medium of exchange. Your goal should be on the value and the exchanges, not on the money, the shadow. And I loved when you were talking about prayer and you were talking about the value, because that's what truly is the money is the reflection of the value that you're giving. Your life, your abundance, your joy, your happiness, you know, like with my husband here, you know, the value that I give to him and the value that he gives to me is a representation of the happiness that we share in our marriage. If I stop giving value or putting value in him, or, you know, then that it's gonna teeter, it's gonna totter, and that happiness, that joy is not going to be there like it is. It's all just a representation of value. So that was a huge aha for me when I was at Bliss, because, you know, when I was taught to focus on goals, I would always look at that goal at hand, whether it was a money amount, whether it was graduating from nursing school, it was like a diploma, whatever it was. And it, you know, and now focusing on the value, it makes the journey, it makes it about the journey more and not about just the end results. And the end results just come as a result of the value during the journey.
Girl, said so perfectly. That is said so perfectly. That is so true. And I have an awesome story that goes along with that. You know, when we talk about the value, and it also goes back to something that was stated in this chapter, where he talks about, where he says, don't let your goals be just about monetary. Don't let them just be monetary goals, because we might think that the way to achieve something is through having money. I mean, you know, even the Bible says that money answers all things, right? So we may think that that is the only way to achieve something, but the universe has infinite ways that it can deliver things to us. And that's something that's so, so powerful. Anytime that I'm feeling pressure in any type of way, I remind myself, this is something that brings me back into alignment. I remind myself that God is not limited by my ideas of how this situation can be resolved. I remind myself and I say, you know what, even though I can only think of so many ways to work this issue out, I know that God is infinite, and so there are infinite ways that this situation can be resolved. And I'm so grateful that God is not limited by what I know. And so I'm open to all of those ways, and I know that it is resolved now, and that helps me. Here is something. I had a great deep desire, like over the past month. I was just feeling very I really wanted a high-end personal coach. I always have a coach in my life because I just believe in that. But I really wanted a high-end personal coach. And I thought, like, the type of people that I would want to work with me probably cost like $1 million. So I was like, man, I don't know how that can happen. But I was just like, Lord, I need someone who has done the things that I am aspiring to do to work with me one-on-one. That's where I am at. And I just held the space for that. And then I just, released it and didn't think about it anymore. And as some of you saw, I ended up winning in the group. I posted in the group that I ended up winning a contest where I now get to have a year of personal coaching with John Assaraf for free. Praise the Lord. For free, which he does not even do one-on-one coaching anymore. He stopped doing it last year because of time. And even then it was over 6 figures. And so that is just a perfect example, like of what Cindy was saying about when we are just focused on sharing our value, staying rooted in past possibility, and just being in alignment with that. Man, God has designed the universe to deliver all of our desires to us in the most elegant, efficient ways possible that are beyond what we can even imagine. And it has nothing to do with money. So yes, that's so, so awesome. I hope that makes all of us feel really inspired and empowered to dream super big and make whatever goals we want to make. Like, there are no limits on this beautiful life that we are living. So what about the state of being? That was a powerful chapter, right? State of being. Now, I have to tell you, this is one of my favorite chapters to talk about, because I think that there's some very powerful principles here. And the reason why is I think that, I think before reading this chapter, it can be very easy. Some of us may have, confused our state of being with our emotions or what we're feeling. But when you really get into this chapter, you really see that, your state of being is something completely different from that. And one of the ways, I think that when I really got to really understand what this chapter was about, is when I went through one of the most devastating time in my life, where I with my ex-husband and I, we lost a child. And not long after that, we got divorced. And I had been a stay-at-home mom. And so now I was in this situation where I also now had to figure out what I was going to do to take care of my daughter financially. And I hadn't worked in years. And I was like, oh my gosh, right? So there was a part of me that absolutely was in sadness, absolutely, felt devastation, right? But because of my faith and because of my knowing of these principles that we're discussing, there was always a part of me that was completely 1,000,000% convinced that all things work together for our good, and that everything pushes us forward into more of who and what we're called to be. And so I can even remember in those times when sometimes, sometimes I need to cry, but I also had these moments of just when my inherent joy completely just would overflow, because I had my daughter there with me and she could do something that was totally hilarious. And so I could laugh too. And it was such an interesting paradox for me. And like I said, because I'm a journaler, I got to really reflect on how we can have a state of being in joy, and also have moods of sadness that move through us. Isn't that amazing? Does anyone else have any thoughts on this chapter, on the state of being? Like, how do you be wealthy when you don't feel like your bank account reflects that? No hands up yet? Well, y'all know I like to talk. I'll just keep talking then. So that's one example where I can think about how absolutely I can see how we definitely can be in a state of joy and also still feel sadness. And that doesn't have to touch the core of who we are, But when we're talking about wealth, as is the topic of the book, I think it also goes back to what Cindy was just saying. When we talk about the value, how do, when we really understand that wealth really is the intrinsic value that we bring to the table as a human being, and the part of us that is eternal, that, was created from God and is here to make a contribution, we can never run out of wealth, because that is who we are. That is who we are. And so we can always share from that part of ourselves, no matter what. No matter what our bank accounts say, we can always live in a place of wealth when we are focused on sharing from that part of ourselves and adding value to other people. If you've ever seen someone who, whenever they come around, you feel great around them, or, when you just see someone and you don't even have to know the person, but you can just see that they radiate just a positive energy, that is wealth. That person is giving. They are giving, and it has nothing, and you don't know what they have in their bank account. And I think that's such a powerful thing when we think of it in that way, because really our businesses and our careers and whatever it is that we do, that where we exchange our value for money, when we remember that that's truly what we're sharing, then we know that we can truly walk in wealth all of the time, and we can be in that state. And eventually, because there is no time, our bank accounts will catch up with the truth of our being. Oh, look, we got some hands. Let's see. Cindy.
Hey, something that you were just saying. My husband actually has a mentor, and this kind of goes back to the story that we tell ourselves. And I was thinking about what David wrote when he wrote "Be Wealth Now," here, just like that.
Yes.
He wrote, "Be wealth. Do not try to get wealth. Be wealth." And my husband's mentor, on his voicemail or his answering machine, he's older, so he has an answering machine. It says, "Have a great day unless you've decided otherwise." That's the last thing he said. And that's true about wealth. That's true about happiness. That's true about everything. And it all has to do with the story we tell ourselves. So if I decide I am not worthy of wealth, or I don't deserve wealth, or I don't deserve happiness, that is going to be just the reflection that I get. And it seems like so simple, but when you internalize that through your daily life, or I'll speak for myself, when I have internalized that in my daily living, and when I started trying to shift, or when I started shifting, I realized how I'd set my life up. And the stories were all around me, because I had the people surrounding me that had the same type stories that I had. So I still hear myself in other people. I just don't agree with them anymore. But it's that story. I am wealth unless I decide otherwise. I am happy unless I decide otherwise. I am abundant unless I decide otherwise. I'm worry free. I have no worries. I am faithful in my beliefs unless I decide otherwise. And it really starts with that state of being and that knowing that I am.
Cindy, girl. You know, that is, I love, oh my gosh, said so elegantly. And it's so true. I am unless I decide otherwise. And really just understanding that we are the ones who hold the key and we are the ones who have the power. You know, every morning, my beautiful daughter and I, we listen to the first chapter of the book I Am by David Allen, and we say all of our positive I am statements. And if I tell you, oh my gosh, it fills me up. It fills me up with just the eternal love that governs the universe and makes me feel so powerful. You know, it makes me feel so powerful. It's so powerful when we really pay attention to what we attach to our I ams and realize that we are the ones who get to decide what goes after that. And that whatever it is that we do decide goes after that, it is so. Man, and when we take the time to affirm the truth and use that intentionally in the way that we were created to, you know what? Each and every one of y'all is an unstoppable force for good. Can't be stopped. Can't stop, won't stop. I love that. So true. Therese.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you well, Therese.
Oh, good. Okay. So, yeah, I was thinking about the phrase from page 101 about being, and it was talking about how, you know, what we are experiencing currently is really all a result of what we've done in the past. Mm-hmm. And so that line that says, if you're thinking about looking at your current, like say your current bank account, and you're saying, oh, that's who I am, it's saying that is actually something that's from your past. Mm-hmm. And who you are being right now is really what you're, I think, creating at the moment, because we're all in creation. So the line says that thinking that way, it says that is tantamount to looking at the results and letting them influence the cause. So saying that the cause of, you know, what you've been doing in the past is in, you know, it's kind of putting things backwards, looking at it that way.
That is so true. So true, and such an awesome point. Such an awesome point, because it really goes back to what we were just talking about, of understanding that the state of being is the source. And then the results, what we see in our physical world, that's the result. So if I look at my results and I get discouraged by that, well, that's just a misuse and misappropriation of the law, you know? You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah. And so whatever you're currently creating right now is really inside of you at this point, and it's going to come out in the possibly near future or sometime in the future. But that's really kind of who you are, is what you're currently creating inside. And what you have in your life right now is a result of the past, of what you were creating in the past.
I love that. And I love how you said that. And you're exactly right. And when we really feel into that, Therese, doesn't it make it a lot easier to feel great right now? Independent.
Yeah, because you know, whatever you're focusing on and creating, it is in fact true. It's your truth, and it will, if you continue to focus on that and create it, then it will come true.
Yes, it will manifest. It is already true because you are the truth.
Right. Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for pointing that out. I love that so much. And I just, that, you know, honestly, I look for different ways to articulate that point to different people in different venues in different ways, because it's something that I just want every single person in the world to know. It's something that I want every single person in the world to know, because, you know, in my mind, I know that there are so many people who feel lack, who feel alone, who feel destitute, who feel all of these negative emotions. And I just, you know, and when I get to live in this beautiful, abundant world, you know, of so much support and love and just incredible wonder, I just want to give that to people and let them know that, no, you don't have to suffer. You don't have to feel this way, that really and truly, I know that every blessing and everything that I feel, I know that we all have that equally. You know, something that I often share with people who are hurting is that I know that I am no more blessed than you. I am no more beloved of God than you. You have every single ounce of love and support within you right now, if you will choose to go in there and go within and really embrace that. And it is my hope that we all, every single one of us, is able to transform our lives by getting in tune with that within us that is never harmed and never dies and never has a lack of anything. And as we get in touch with that, to then be able to see our wildest imaginations that are good manifest in our lives. Oh, you are so right, Therese. I love that. Love that so much. What was I going to say? There was a thought that I had, but you know, I start talking, y'all. It'll come back. It'll come back. But yes, you know, something else that I think is really, really important from this chapter is how it talks about not cursing and judging anything. That I think is a really important aspect of being really in tune with the state of being, because the state of being that really allows what we desire to manifest. Because if we are truly being wealth, being joy, being happiness, being abundance, being all of those things, then we realize that there is nothing to condemn. Oh, yes, that was my thought. It just came back. So I know that there are some times when it's like, okay, well, when my bank account or my circumstances isn't matching what it is that I desire, even if I see that that's a result of who I used to be, and that's a result of who I was in the past, I know sometimes it can be easy to think, well, is that saying that I used to be like broke in the past? My thinking was broke, you know, or I had a poverty mindset in the past. I wanted to say this. That's not always true. That's not always true. So understand, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I know that sometimes it can feel like, oh, well, I need to change and I need to do something different in my thinking in order to allow the abundance to come. But also understand this, that every circumstance comes in order to push us more into who and what it is that we're called to be. So you may not, you know, in some cases, you may not have had a lack or poverty mindset, but there could be a circumstance that needed to be created that will draw new character traits out of you that are important for where it is that you're going. So maybe, and here's an example, financial situations that you've never been in before, those situations have a tendency to cause you to be much more resourceful. You know, they have a tendency to cause some people to go deeper into a spiritual practice. They cause some people to be much more empathetic with others. There's, you know, you will know for your life and your journey what it is that's being called forth from you, but just really understand that, you know, that this, what we're talking about is not about judging ourselves and judging our thoughts and saying, oh, well, you know, and labeling ourselves as we've had these types of thoughts in the past, but understanding that every circumstance that comes, every problem is a solution looking to be made manifest. And every solution has a way of being behind it that is looking to come forth. And so really just focusing on evolving and being your best and highest self, that's what's going to pull you forward into the vision that you're looking to create. So that was my other long way of saying, let's not judge ourselves and our thoughts. Cindy.
This is actually Troy, my husband, that wants to talk.
Hey, Troy, I like your hat. I'm from Texas. I love big hats.
I just want, you know, you said something about winning something, you dreamed it and won it and all, right? And I've been to probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 Duck Unlimited banquets and 2 or 3 Super Bowl parties and a church benefit thing to raise money, right? And they would always have these door prizes, and you could buy a ticket for one. And 2 Duck Unlimited banquets I went to. One was a $1,200 shopping, and so I bought a ticket for it. And the guy with me said, "You'll never win that. There's like 100 tickets." They started rolling, they pulled out the number, and I won the gun. And he was like, "Man, you're lucky." And next year I went, and they had a boat, a $1,500 boat. I bought a ticket. He bought 10 tickets. I said, "I'm going to win it." And it got down, they cut a deck of cards in half. And when it got down to the end, there were 2 cards left. And the man said, "If y'all want to split this, there's a man that said to buy the boat, and y'all can each have $750 cash." And I said, "No." The other guy was, he's like, let's do it. We both win." I'm like, "I got the winning card." And sure enough, he said, "Okay, we flip the card over." He said, "Boy, you win." And just recently, I went to the church outdoor thing, and I had been going for 10 years. I said, "Y'all ever won one of the door prizes?" They said, "No, man, look, 600 people in this building." And I said, "Well, I'm going to win something." And I sat back, and when they started calling up the number, I won a real handmade knife by grits, those raisins, south, and it was like over 100 years old. And they were like, "Man, we've been coming for 10 years and never won nothing." I think it's training your mind, because I always, when I look at what I want for these things, I usually win 75 to 80% of the time. One year, me and Cindy were at the Super Bowl party, and I got the numbers 1 and 9. Anybody knows about football, I'll tell you, that sucked number. And at the end of the game, right at the end, it was 29-28. The Panthers were winning. And Cindy was like, and she's like, we might win. She had a big Panther shirt on, and Tom Brady was on the 40-yard line, and they started to take the field goal, and she said, I said, "You better hope he makes that." And she said, "Why?" I said, "If he does, that's 1, and I got 9. And she said, "It would be 31-9. I won $1,000, and she said, "The hell with the Panthers." And I was happy. So it's in your mind, I think.
He wins everything. Everywhere he goes.
Oh my gosh.
Everywhere we go.
That is so friggin' awesome. And I love that, because I think that we can all learn something from, I hear the relaxation and the certainty, this total certainty in his mentality that, yeah, I'm going to win. Like, this is just what happens for me. I love that. That is a perfect representation of how we use the creative process. He's totally relaxed. He's not like, now, I know for me, a lot of times when I'm going to win something, I'm like, oh, I hope I win. That's not how you're supposed to do it, because there's like that anxiousness there, right? He's totally relaxed, totally certain, totally knowing that it's going to unfold in his favor. I think that that is so perfect because that really is what being faithful is. That's what faith is. There's no thought, no anxiety.
No, very laid back. He just sits back and wait for them to call his name.
I love it. I love it. You guys need to go to Vegas soon. You know what? This makes me think about, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Bob Proctor, but he's an amazing, yes. So I love Bob, okay? I've studied with Bob. You know, I know him. He's an amazing man. And he said this, he told me this. He said, you know, whenever he goes to Vegas, he said, I win every time I go. He's like, I win every time I go, you know, and he's very quick to tell everyone, I do what I want when I want. And he's like, yes, I win every time I go. And in that mentality, it just reminds me of what, I'm sorry, Cindy's lovely husband, I don't remember his name. What's your husband's name, Cindy?
Troy.
Troy. Thank you, Troy. But it reminds me of Troy's demeanor that, yes, because this is what I do. You know, this is the way that it is. And that's how we want to be about our lives and our goals. And I think that that's the point. That's the point of the things that we are reading about and being in the state of being and writing the goals down, being clear on our intentions, being totally relaxed, knowing that it's already done, knowing that we are just allowing it to all unfold perfectly. And we don't have to make it happen. Total relaxation, total confidence, total certainty, and total joy. That's so beautiful. We can live life that way. And it's such a beautiful, wonderful thing because then we are no longer thrown to and fro emotionally by circumstance. It's a beautiful, awakened, enlightened way of living that is very empowering and inspiring. And it will draw nigh all kinds of wonderful people that you are meant to impact, whether that be in business, in friendship, in whatever. But just leads us to living a much fuller life. I think that it is about time for us to wrap up. If anyone else has any other thoughts to share, I would love to hear them. If not, I don't know if anyone would like to lead us in a 30-second meditation. If we have any volunteers for that, I'd love to see your hands. And I always love when we go to the group and share what we found most valuable about our time together. That's just something that I love to end my sessions with. So, any volunteers for leading us in a 30-second meditation? No? No? Okay. Well, then, this is what I will do. Since everybody else is being shy. I just, I hope you don't mind. I just would love to just bless you and just bless all of us. I just feel so grateful for this time today. I speak a word of power and blessing on everything that you are doing, that all the works of your hands are blessed, that all of your wildest imaginations and dreams are coming to pass in ways that you cannot even imagine, with such elegance and efficiency that it just blows your mind and leaves you in wonder and awe at the greatness of God and how the universe supports us. I know that you're going to have a wonderful, wonderful week. And I want to say to expect miracles to occur in your life this week, and expect great success and even more good things than you even had planned. Next week, I'm sure Casey will be back, and we will be going over chapters 8 and 9, I believe. I certainly look forward to it. I'm so grateful to have this time with you guys. I also want to say too, for any of you that are interested, I'm offering a class right now that's 50% off for a few more days. It is a great supplement to whatever you use to build your direct sales business online. You can go to my Facebook page and check that out. It's facebook.com/KRache. Shows you how to close prospects without picking up the phone and extends your reach. I just appreciate you guys so much, and you're growing. I love communing with like-minded, enlightened people who are committed to being their best. You are amazing. Go forth and be great. Okay, so now we are recording. We have to make sure to get that for case. I'm gonna look to see if I can figure out how to mute.